15 Slatin Road, Strood. It still had gaslight. It had, there was no electricity in it whatsoever. It had an outside toilet, and there was the old copper in the kitchen. You had to light the fire under the copper to boil up the water to do your washing. That was different. Tony, he was then obviously out of the army, and he was working, I think he was working for Caleb Brett then, which were cargo surveyors. And he had a loan from his company, so we had the electricity put in. We'd be able to switch those lights on. Oh. Helen was actually born in Strood. I always thought there could be something else out there. I went to the Gordon Road Infant School where Carol and Helen were. Stephen was in the junior, and I had to go up there and talk to the headmistress about something, and she offered me the job as the school secretary. Well, if there was a teacher was absent, she would say to me, "Oh, Betty, would you just go and take the class? Just keep them quiet and have them reading this, that and the other." So Betty would go and take the class. Then she said to me that I should go and apply to be an unqualified teacher. So I did unqualified teaching for about 18 months. And then Sittingbourne College opened, Sittingbourne College of Education, for mature students. And so I applied and I got accepted there. So I did 3 years there and came out with a certificate of education. First of all, I got a position in Richmond Road, Gillingham, and then I transferred to Upbury Manor, which was a really big secondary modern school, because I specialised in English and that age group, 11 to 16. And then I took some studies and I specialised in remedial work. And at that time, Tony was working in Libya, in the oil business, for Occidental, the big oil company. He was working there. And he used to do sometimes 2 months out, 3 weeks back, or something like that. I was at Upbury Manor, and then Mepham School came open. Now, Mepham is just outside of Gravesend, and I was there for about 3 years, I think. We had a lovely trip to Rome in the 1970s. We visited the Sistine Chapel, which I'd always wanted to see. It was amazing. And also saw the Trevi Fountain, and we walked down the Spanish Steps. Lovely. One time I can remember, when it was school holiday, I went to see Tony, and he was living in Corpus Christi in Texas. And can remember it so well, a place called Buster's Bar, the real country and western bar. And they had their guitars and their boots and their hats, and we would be dancing, and always remember dancing to Willie Nelson, Always on My Mind. That was lovely.
Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have, and maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. If I made you feel second best, girl, I'm sorry I was blind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind.
1987 in the UK was a terrible winter. It was really bad, especially in Kent. We had got it very bad. I was there by myself, shoveling snow and trying to get to work. And then I think Tony transferred to Houston. So I thought, well, it's pointless, you know. Tony's out there, I'm here. So that's when I decided to resign from teaching and go to the States.
Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. But you were always on my mind.
But first we went out there and was living in New Jersey. Clinton Place, yes, we lived there. And then Stephen bought an apartment and a flat for us in Mozart Street. Stephen had opened an office down in Houston, Texas, and so Tony and I, we drove there. Driving down the Interstate 81 South from East Rutherford to Houston, recognising place names that I'd seen on films, Chattanooga, Great Smoky Mountains. It was lovely. Always remember stopping off in a hotel in Tennessee, and Tony asked them to recommend a local bar. And when the bartender asked me what I'd like to drink, I said Jack Daniels and 7-Up. He replied, "Here, ma'am, we call it Jack and a Splash." And that name has been recalled on many, many occasions.
But you were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind.
We used to travel quite a bit. We undertook a drive from Houston to Vegas. We had a couple of stops along the way. There were lots of nodding donkeys in Texas, and then the giant cactus in Arizona. Ralph drove down the famous strip, and then we checked in at the Bellagio. What a hotel that was. We made a visit to the Grand Canyon. It is absolutely fantastic. It's breathtaking. On the return journey to Houston, we slowed down due to heavy traffic, and Sarah looked out of the side window and remarked, "That's a strange bird on the verge." It was a roadrunner. It was lovely. "Oh, what's that, Grandma?" We started our cruising adventures in the early 2000s. The ships cruised around the Caribbean. We really enjoyed the lifestyle on board and visiting the various islands en route. Jamaica was always on our list. We ventured further afield and then went to Alaska. The scenery was spectacular. And we also went on a whale watch and saw 2 whales breaching with their massive tails coming out of the water. That was amazing. My mother had twin brothers, Patrick and Michael O'Flynn, who were both killed in the First World War. And I'd spent some time on researching both my father's and my mother's family on Ancestry, and I found a burial site from the military records of 1418 war. In 2015, Carol, Ralph, Tony and I visited Le Tourret Memorial and Graveyard in France, and we located the headstone erected for Michael. And also, there was the name of Patrick O'Flynn inscribed on a memorial wall. It was a moving experience. I thought about my mother and the pain of all her family must have gone through during that awful time. However, there was some closure, as now a member of the family had finally visited their final resting place. Unfortunately, his health wasn't marvellous. He'd had heart problems. He passed away in Texas, March the 15th, 2017. We had his ashes scattered right near the Bridgeneck Green High, and also right the way up to where he used to work on the London docks. Then I more or less decided that I'd come back. I eventually came over, I think it was in the June.
I see trees of green.
I am very lucky.
Red roses too.
I listen to the people in Nelson Court moaning about their children. They don't do this, they don't do that.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I honestly believe you reap what you sow.
see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I suppose really that I've come full circle, but Texas is always a great part of me. But I know when the last move's going to be. I've already arranged that, thank you very much. When we used to have a little A35, and we would sometimes go out on a Sunday, and Tony would drive down to Grain, past the oil terminal, you know, we'd go to the little village, get down to see the Thames, then come back. And on the way back, we'd always go over a great big bump. And he would definitely, whoops, he'd go over it, and the kids would say, oh, come on, Dad, turn around and do it again. So, so that is going to be en route sometime. Yeah, that's it. Oh, I've had enough. Bye-bye.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself,